Hello everybody and welcome to Astrology. I'm just going to talk about what they call the sexagenary cycle, the cycle of 60s in relation to Chinese astrology. And I'd also like to thank everyone for sending me their dates of birth for the up and coming live event on the 15th of the 2nd. And for those who jump in, you'll get a personal chart. Your personal chart just quickly looked into, and we will see how the year of the Yang Fire Horse plays out for you for 2026. And here we have the Yang Fire Horse down here. And see, we can see 2026 Yang Fire Horse, 60 years prior to that, 1966. So cycles, most astrologers obviously are very into cycles and looking back into history and to see how things play out, because these patterns tend to repeat in the collective, and it's very interesting to pay attention to this. And I guarantee you, if you do enough digging as an astrologer, you can really see these things play out. But I wanted to introduce this cycle to people because a lot of people don't know about it. And of course, I don't think that many people are familiar with the heavenly stems and branches, obviously, because planetary astrology is very, very popular, and I practice both. And I just wanted to share the sexagenary cycle, because all these characters, right, they looks impressive, right? But it's quite simple to understand, because at the top here we have what they call, on this line here, the heavenly stems, and all the heavenly stems are the 5 elements. So I've got them color coded here. So green represents wood element, fire, red, earth, yellow, metal, gray, and water element is blue. But these represent the 5 elements, the yin and yang counterparts. So yang wood, yang fire, yang earth, yin earth, yang metal, yin metal, and yang water, yin water. And then of course underneath, which everyone's familiar with, right, because most people know what lunar year they're born in. So these are what they call the branches. So the heavenly stems and branches are here: the rat, the ox, the tiger, the rabbit, the dragon, the snake, the horse, the goat, the monkey, and the rooster. And so we are all part of this. And when we do a 4 pillars chart, we usually do 1, 2, 3, 4. That will be the year, the month, the day, and the hour pillar, right? Depending on the year and the configurations that play out through that. And for those interested in that kind of stuff, there's a free video on how to construct a 4 pillars Chinese astrological chart. Plus I have my online course and my book for those. I am doing a cheap plug on that, but if those are serious about this kind of stuff, yeah, by all means, go and check those out. It's all on my website. But anyway, the 60-year cycle, right? And things happen in events, right? In 60-year cycles, so they tend to repeat. And of course, 1966 was probably a very big one in terms of the Communist Party issued what they call the Cultural Revolution in China. This was massive. And it'd be interesting to see how things play out this year on a world scale, because that kind of issue seems to be creeping in quite significantly in Western countries. So I won't rant on politically, because I don't want to get involved in politics and this kind of thing at the moment, but I just wanted to say that cycles repeat themselves. And I remember I was just recently looking at other events that happened here, and it's interesting because I think the Yang Fire Horse, or pure fire pillar, right, is very similar to Leo, and because when we look at that kind of energy, because what rules the horse is what a lot of people don't know, is the horse here is the peak of summer. It's one of the 4 peaks, right? So it's the peak of summer, and it's also has a Yang Fire stem, and the Yang Fire stem is connected to Mars and the Sun. And the Sun, obviously, in planetary astrology, is connected to Leo. But what I'm getting at is, I think a lot of things to do with children will be revealed, I think, this year. and we're coming up to a full moon in Leo. So this may even come out on the forefront because Leo rules children. But I just found it interesting in Australia that the Beaumont children in South Australia 60 years ago just disappeared without a trace. Three kids just disappeared. But we all know that that goes on a lot. And they probably needed someone like Ted Gunderson on the case. But obviously he's an American federal agent at the time. But those who know who I'm talking about will know what I mean. But anyway, so this kind of thing happened. I was just having a look in the world events, but I think so we can go back 60 years and 60 years more, but I think dating back, which a lot of people have brought our attention to, is 1666, which were the years of the great fires in London. Like 80% of London was destroyed in wildfire, and this is obviously I predicted fires but in Australia we tend to get fires a lot because we just do, but we haven't had ones this bad in a long time that I remember, not since about 2010. But here we are in a pure fire year, so the fire element is quite strong. And I guess other events that have occurred, I think, which were pretty significant, which would be 60 years prior to 1966, was 1906, which was the great earthquake in San Francisco. It was really, really significant. 7.9, I think, destroyed a lot of the city. And then for those Planetary Astrology knows where the eclipse axis falls, and it's actually squaring, I think, from memory in it's in Aquarius, so it's going to put some tension on the sign of Taurus. But of course, Uranus is in Taurus at the moment, so it is. It's in Gemini, but it's actually hitting that angle as well. So I think there could be some significant Earth movements at this time. There was a lot of revolutionary movement in China at this time. And I think the Yang Fire Horse Pillar represents a lot of revolutionary activity because in my opinion, it reflects the true spirit of rebellion, which fire element does when it's balanced. So I think this is another thing that can be really significant at this time. And there's also a lot of conflict around the world between Christians and Muslims, which seems to be coming up quite extensively now in the West, right? Another thing around 1906 was there was a lot of huge rates of tuberculosis in America, and this kind of thing happened. And this is interesting. We're coming up with this this Saturn-Neptune conjunction coming up, which is the epidemic aspect. So this kind of thing can represent that. And fire can kind of, from a Chinese element point of view, can represent obviously fire toxin, right? Which we talk about in Chinese medicine. Fire toxins are things like viruses, if you want to call them that, but a lot of heat and inflammation, right? And this can come from a number of reasons, from medical diagnosis, but a lot of it comes from obviously a lousy diet, one, and another one would be not keeping yourself emotionally hygienic or your psyche hygienic, right? Because when we repress or suppress emotion, it generates heat and fire, right? And this is an interesting concept, but one I won't go into here because I want to keep it on this level. But just for you guys to know, this is 2026, we're here, right? So if we want to look at these kind of events, the events move in 60-year cycles, which are very significant in ancient Chinese. And to make it to the year 60 is a massive celebration on that level. So I just wanted to share about this. And coming up on the 15th of the 2nd, 8 p.m. Australian Eastern Daylight Time, I will be jumping in and doing a live for everyone who sent me their date of birth. So if you want to send me, if people are listening and they want to send me some more, I've got probably I've got a few. I've got quite a lot to go through. It could be a long one. I'm debating whether I should do 2 live events. We'll see how we go. Anyway, any feedback, any questions about this, let me know. For those interested in Bazi, Chinese astrology, I do offer Chinese astrology mini readings as well, which are a little bit cheaper. Obviously, a lot cheaper than, say, the full package I usually do with Planetary and Chinese astrology together as well. So, anyway, we'll see you at the live very soon.